start with today's pro-gun rallies in Washington and Virginia. Larry Pratt is Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry, what do you make of the U.S. government? Is it bad?
The U.S. government is too big. It has powers that it's exercising that are unconstitutional, socialistic, and I think that is the mood that more and more Americans are coming to realize is shared with a lot of their friends and neighbors, and I think we're aiming to take it down a peg or two during the primaries.
Larry Pratt is the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry is one of the leading proponents in protecting the Second Amendment right of Americans to arm and defend themselves without government encroachment upon that right. Let's just deal with this topic factually for a moment. Nothing but the truth. Guns exist, period. There will never be a world totally without guns. Therefore, somebody will always have guns. As more and more government officials call for stricter and stricter gun control laws, can we really trust our government to be the only armed contingent in the country? Let's look at history as a guide. In 1911, Turkey established gun control, and then from 1915 to 1917, 1.5 million Armenians, unable to defend themselves, were rounded up and exterminated. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control, and from 1929 to 1953, 20 million dissidents, unable to defend themselves, were rounded up and exterminated. Germany established gun control in 1938, and from 1939 to 1945, a total of 13 million Jews and many others who were unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. China established gun control in 1935, and from 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Guatemala established gun control in 1964, and from 1964 to 1981, 100,000 Mayan Indians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Uganda established gun control in 1970, and from 1971 to 1979, 300,000 Christians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Cambodia established gun control in 1956, and from 1975 to 1977, 1 million mostly highly educated people unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Defenseless people who have been rounded up and exterminated in the 20th century because of gun control totals over 56 million people. Governments throughout history have been responsible for more unnatural deaths than all of the street gangs the world over by implementing gun control. Guns in the hands of honest citizens save lives and property, and gun control laws adversely affect only the law-abiding citizens. With guns, our founding fathers understood, we are citizens. Without them, we become subjects. Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, Mao, Idi Amin, Castro, Pol Pot, all of these monsters began by confiscating private arms, then literally soaking the earth with the blood of tens and tens of millions of their own people. Our founding fathers knew that in order to protect the 5 precious God-given rights of the First Amendment, those rights that make us distinctly American and the envy of the world, our founding fathers knew that the Second Amendment, the right to defend those rights of the First Amendment, had to remain intact. Is there any wonder, then, why liberal, socialist, and communist-bent government officials around the world are so bent on destroying America's Second Amendment right? Now you know the truth.
The fact of the matter is, when you do victim surveys, you find that people in this country use firearms over 2 million times a year to defend themselves, and to tell people that they shouldn't have a gun.
Well, then they're missing.
Well, as a matter of fact, you know, you've raised a good point. You don't have to kill or even wound to stop a crime. And when we look at the data, when we look at these victim surveys, we find that something like 96, 97% of all of these defensive gun uses do not involve firing the gun.
So why not get a toy gun and just wave it at them? Because basically you can't tell the difference with some of these toy guns.
You do that. I'm not interested in that. Now,
Larry, what do you make of the U.S. government? Is it bad?
The U.S. government is too big. It has powers that it's exercising that are unconstitutional.